Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe. For this Mother's Day DIY, we are going to start with 2 of these picture frames from the Dollar Tree. And although I'm only showing you 1 package of the tumbling tower game, you will need 2 if you use this size of picture frame. Use whatever spray paint you have on hand. This matte vintage blue is one that I already had from Lowe's. But again, you can also use paint, like acrylic paint, if you don't have spray paint. I'll also be using this wood glue for the building blocks. You can use whatever glue you have on hand. I also have these beads that I bought from Joann's, and I'll only need 4 of them. And then I'll also need this cotton swab holder from Dollar Tree. Also, I found these 2 removable wall tiles from the Dollar Tree. They are bronze with a faux patina, and I'll only need 2 of these. And of course, your hot glue gun and glue sticks. First thing I'm going to do is to pull back the tabs on one of the picture frames. Sometimes these can be very sharp, so if you don't want to hurt yourself, you can use something like scissors to help pull the tabs back. Now I'm going to take everything out. And using a glass cleaner, I'm going to clean both sides of the glass. Okay guys, so these removable wall tiles are repositionable, and I thought that meant on every surface, but that's not the case. My plan was to have these 2 tiles kind of meet halfway on the piece of glass from the picture frame. So I just went about treating them as if they were removable and repositionable on every surface. That is not the case. When they hit glass, they're going to stick to glass, and I found that out the hard way. So if you choose to use these wall decals or any removable wall decals that you have, like these, please know, do you see how it's coming up? Like it is stuck to this glass. I tried pulling them both off and they started to rip and tear, so I just said, you know what? It's a learning moment. We're just gonna go with it. We're gonna work it out. So look how easily it peeled off the paper. Paper, no problem. Walls, no problem. Glass, big problem. So I'm just going to trim the excess away with a straight edge. Also, if you wanted to use these wall tiles for a project later on, you could just put the glass on top of the wall tiles, and that way you could use them for another project if you wanted to. So it's all off-centered and everything. In the end, you really won't be able to tell, so stick around to the end so you see how it turned out. But it's just one of those things that happens during crafting. It's how you learn. So to help cover up that seam down the middle, I just took one of the extra pieces that I cut away, and it's one of the pieces that has like the raised dots on it, and I'm just going to trim that down to cover up the seam going down the middle. Now for this next picture frame, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to remove everything out of it. And now with these 2 picture frames, I am going to give them a coat of paint with the matte vintage blue spray paint from Krylon. Once they've dried, this is how they turn out. And guys, I was running so low on that spray paint. I was barely able to finish this project. Thankfully, I had just enough to finish it. So everything didn't get the greatest coverage, but I did the best that I could with what I had. And I didn't have any paint in this tone either, so I just barely finished. I put everything back into the frame. And then I hot glued the 4 beads on the bottom, and these are going to form the little feet for our box. If you don't have any beads, you can just use extra pieces of the tumbling game blocks. So that's what we have so far. This is going to be the bottom of the box. So now what I want to do is to line up the tumbling tower game blocks. I'm just going to call them the wood blocks. And I'm going to line them up along the width of the frame. Then I'm going to use Gorilla Wood glue to glue them to each other. Now these blocks are irregularly shaped, but they do need to have a bottom that is flat. So I'm going to use this ruler from the Dollar Tree to help me create a flat bottom so that it will sit level when I glue it into the other frame. So I'm going to glue these together and then set them aside to let them cure and really meld together. And then while that sets up, I'm going to do the same thing for the length of the frame. Now, depending on the length of the frame you choose to use will depend on how many of these blocks you will need. So you just have to measure and see how many you will need for your own project. Dollar Tree also sells its own brand of wood glue. I've never used it. If you've used it and it's been pretty good, drop a comment below and let me know. I see it all the time in the crafting section, but I've never used it. So now that time has gone by and I have let the wood pieces adhere to one another, I'm going to put hot glue on the bottom of it and glue it down on the inside part of the frame. This is one of the lengthwise pieces, and I'm just going to do the same going all the way around. If you wanted to have a deeper box, you could add an extra row of the building blocks, but for me, this depth was just the right amount. And be sure to clean up any glue that kind of spills out of the bottom. Now, I had a couple of gaps and I ended up fixing them. That's one of the fixes there. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I took one of these larger craft sticks that Dollar Tree sells and I cut it in half, and I basically just kept cutting it down and trying to fit it into that space. Just using regular scissors, it cut very, very easily. And so I just kept cutting it down and fitting it in. And when I found the right size, I just placed it there. And first I wanted to see if it would hold with tension, which is a good indication that it's going to meet both sides of the wood pieces next to it, like this one does. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue on the inner part of the box to keep it secure. This is one of the cardboard backings that came with the picture frame. I'm going to leave the hook in and I cut it down to size to place it inside of the box. And this is just going to help protect the wall decals for when I spray paint this. And I will be spray painting it again with this matte vintage blue from Krylon. While that dries, I'm going to clean the other glass from the other frame on both sides. Then I'm going to place it back in and temporarily push the tabs back down. Now this is going to be the top of our little gift box. So I'm going to take the topper from the cotton swab holder and place it there. You can see that this is the only part that would have contact with the glass below it, and I really don't have a lot of confidence in that seal. So what I'm going to do is use extra pieces of the wood blocks from the game to give a greater surface area so that it will have better contact with the glass. Now I'm going to remove the tabs from the picture frames. Make sure that you don't pull it upwards. The first one that I did, you can see it kind of cracked the frame a little bit. You want to pull it away from you, and so it will come out cleanly. And then I'm going to use some hot glue to secure the glass back in place. And make sure you clean up any excess glue that comes squishing out the sides. And I'm just putting the game pieces there to help weigh it down. So this is what the box is looking like. This is about all of the spray paint that I had. I had a little bit left to do the topper. But now I'm ready to remove the cardboard piece. And you can see that none of the paint got on the tiles themselves. I did end up with a little strip at the bottom where the wood pieces didn't get painted, but you will not see that in the end. So now that we have spray painted the top, we are ready to place the handle on the top picture frame, which will form the top of the box. Again, I'm gluing 2 of the wood pieces right to the middle of the top of the cotton swab holder, and that is a more solid surface to glue to the top of the glass. If you can't find this cotton swab holder, you can just use extra pieces of the wood blocks. You can stack them on one another and glue them onto the middle of the frame to form a handle. And there you can see how much of the glue is able to make contact with the glass. So I'm going to set that aside. And now I'm going to use these medium-sized pearls. These are the 12mm pearls from the Dollar Tree. And I am going to string them on some embroidery thread that I had just laying around. You do not have to thread them, but I thought it would be easier to thread them so that I would be sure that the holes in the beads are facing each other and not facing out, and that it would be easier to glue them to the top, which it was so much easier to do that. So I'm just going to do that with hot glue. If you want something more permanent, you can use a stronger adhesive, but I just went with hot glue. Now I'm going to take the largest pearls that Dollar Tree has, the 14 millimeter, and I'm going to hot glue them to the length of the boxes. And I have the little wood pieces there so that the pearls don't run away while I am gluing them on to this little part of the gift box. Drop a comment below and let me know if you would use pearls or gems. I always get a lot of comments from girls who are bling girls, and they always tell me the alternative way that they would make one of my projects with a lot of bling, and I love hearing those ideas. So drop a comment below and let me know. These are the smallest pearls. These are the 10 millimeters, and I'm going to glue them along the width of both sides of our box. So this is what our box looks like. Let me know what you think of it as it looks like this. I think it turned out so awesome, but there are a couple of things that we're going to do to it still. So if you can't find the wall decals and you want an alternative, what I'm going to do, this is the piece that I cut down to go into the bottom of the box while I spray painted it. Well, now I'm going to use this microfiber cloth from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut about a 1-inch border all the way around the cardboard piece. You can even do as little as 1/2 inch border around. And then I'm just going to use some hot glue, and I'm going to fold the microfiber cloth around the piece of cardboard, and I'm just clipping at the corner so it won't be very bulky there, and it will lay as flat to the surface of the gift box as possible. I did remove the little metal piece there in the middle. And if you don't have the microfiber cloth, whatever fabric you have laying around, an old pillowcase that you're not using, an old t-shirt, anything that you have that you're not using, and just that easily, it will fit right into the bottom of the gift box. And you don't have to glue it down, so you can have it both ways. You can either use it with the wall decals or with our new little plush lining. Drop a comment below and let me know which you like better. Now for me, I would use this to store my face masks, but you can use this for sunglasses, you can use it for jewelry, you can put your keys in here, trinkets, whatever you have. And of course, it would make a great gift for your mom. It's a nice place for her to store. Even pictures can go in here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, let me know by giving me a thumbs up. I would love for you to subscribe to my growing channel. I hope you all are staying safe and that you are all well. And I will see you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.